Cheers.
Oh.
Three-way
Woo.
cheers.
Skadoosh. We haven't
All
had this in a while.
We haven't had all three of us here. We haven't all three been here for a little while.
No, it's rare.
Yeah, but this is right now. And last one, you all wanted to see Rachel's Twisbies. So we brought them really just to show them off.
Well, and I wanted to talk about the emerald.
Yeah, and we thought as a topic, we run across new product launches all the time, and it's a challenge.
Emerald Chivor in there.
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Rachel, can you tilt it up a little bit?
Oh yeah.
This is my first time using that ink.
And-
It is quite nice.
Before you ask, these trays are not available to the public. These are something special that we got. Even though we're not a physical brick and mortar store, every now and then we like to get little brick and mortar-y things for around our office.
Like Giant Lamy.
I was
Giant Lamy pens.
Exactly. So we wanted to cover the topic of new product launches. How do we handle them? Why don't we take pre-orders? These
Hot
types
limited
of things.
editions. Our tips for how
Yep.
you can get one of these. Not
'Cause
any,
it's-
just pretty much just this one because these aren't available anymore.
It did spark these thoughts though, because we launched the Emerald Twisby here,
Mhm.
Yesterday.
and it's in high demand, like a lot of those limited edition Twisbys are.
The broad, last I checked, has sold out. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I contributed
Yeah,
to
you
the-
contributed at least one of that.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, we run across this. Sometimes we run out of things that sell out in minutes, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like that space race set.
yeah, we want to talk a little bit about why we do the way we do it. A lot of it just has to do with years of making mistakes and correcting them.
Yeah.
We have theories about how we should do certain things, and until we go through them and try these various practices for new product launches, we never know how it will actually go.
Right, so a
And-
lot of them we've tried and been like, okay, no, that doesn't work. Let's not do that again.
Or we have an idea, but then there might be some technical limitations. Like, okay, how do we manage all these pre-orders? And then what if the credit card authorization expires? And then what do we do when actually we
Right.
get shorted? And
Absolutely.
And like talking about that, like we literally cannot do pre-orders, right? Like
No.
we just can't. Our website just does not allow us that, right?
No.
It would be outside our current capabilities. We would have to do this whole circumvented process
Yeah.
that would
Well,
be fraught with
and that
issues.
isn't even so much the issue of the technology piece or the process piece. It's really that we place an order for a product. Sometimes we don't get the quantities we ordered. So it's really difficult for them to be like, hey, we're going to sell you X quantity. And then the shipment arrives and either they got shorted from the manufacturer or something happened. I mean, we've had stuff arrive broken and like, okay, well, that's it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so I would hate to take someone's money and then not be able to deliver. Like, we really pride ourselves. That's why we're doing physical inventory later this week.
Yeah.
Like, what is in stock is in stock. When we oversell, it's like, oh, it's the worst.
And I just went to a business conference with a bunch of other e-commerce owners, and this is something that is kind of more unique to our niche industry, the getting shorted on hot new products.
Yeah.
It's because we're a small industry, and a lot of our manufacturers, they just can only make but so much. They don't have an endless supply of new things to be ordered whenever you want them.
Well, and there's risk associated if you all right, well, I'm just going to make 10 times as many. Well, what if it doesn't do as well and it sits there and then everyone spent all this money? So sometimes they go conservative and
Good flop.
it's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, so for us, I think the best thing for you all to be thinking about when there's a new product launch is the email notification list. That is
Yes.
the heart and soul and kind of what we've ended up really gravitating towards as the most practical, fair, equitable way to announce when a new product is in. So if you're on the email notification, well, why don't you explain it, Jerry?
Well, I was just thinking, well, because Rachel mentioned about getting shorted and how then you brought up the email list. That also, it's a twofold benefit. It allows you, the customer, to know when things get put in stock on our end, but it also allows us, as we get closer and closer to the launch, it allows us visibility to see, okay, this thing is not just creeping along, it's exploding. Can we get more in?
Right.
So it's a great kind of hint for us as far as how big something is going to be, and allows us the opportunity, if it's available,
Right.
to beef up our stock a little bit.
And the email list is not a commitment to purchase, so there's always a bit of grain of salt we have to take with, hey, wow, there's 400 people wanting this thing. We're like, okay, we're not necessarily going to sell whatever it is.
And it
but
varies
it,
product to product too, as to how
well it
much
converts.
it will convert. Yeah, so it's not
but
perfect.
it's super helpful to us because, like Drew said, we can then assess demand. We can get another order in. We might time the launch. We might, you know what, we got to do a timed launch for this one versus like, okay, we got plenty. It'll go when it goes.
Yeah, if we have a thought based on previous launches or just the size of the wait list versus what we think we're getting in, we will email and say, hey, we're actually going to launch this thing Thursday, 1 p.m. Be there.
Be square.
Because when we have massive launches like this and a huge wait list, the emails, because you get emailed, if you put in your email on the product page, drop down the nib size if it's available, you'll get emailed as soon as it gets in stock. However, if we have a massive wait list,
everybody gets emailed.
Well, they go out in batches if it's really huge. So you might not get emailed, like if Brian signs up at one point and I sign up at a different point, he might get emailed at 12 o'clock on the dot. I might get emailed at 12:30 or something like that.
It's pretty.
Is it closer than that? 12:05?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I say it'd have to be pretty extreme for it to be that far apart.
Okay. Well, it's not always exact.
Couple minutes.
In those instances, we'll try to do a timed launch. But either way, being aware, being there if we do a timed launch is super important.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tips for trying to get that special pen that you've been wanting for so long, but everybody else wants.
Yep.
So some are, you can put it in your. We also have a wish list on our site. A lot of people like to put things in their cart to store for weeks at a time. As much as we've been trying, and this is one of those bugs that has just been really bugging me, sometimes the cart doesn't save, either across devices or across weeks. So I recommend the wish list for long-term, this is what I want storage. But I would start creating your cart, within 24 hours, ideally within an hour of, if it's a time launch, if you know when it's going to happen, within an hour of the other items you want so that you're ready to go. Putting an item in your cart does not reserve it. It's only once you actually check out. There's a lot of folks, and some websites do it differently, this will be held for you for the next 10 minutes. Kind of like when you're buying concert tickets.
So you could have this TWSBI in your cart and I could come along and actually pay for it. And
yes,
it's mine.
it is an unfortunate experience, but the reality is...
Yes and no.
How much would it suck if I'm just going to put this in my cart, but I just want to look at it.
Yeah.
And you're I want to buy it.
Take my money.
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of, I know the way it feels is I'm in line at the grocery store or the toy store and somebody just grabs the item out of my cart
Definitely
and
toy
went
store.
and bought it first. I know it kind of feels like that, but think of it more as if they're going to launch something at noon or whatever. Somebody goes on the shelf, puts it in their cart, and they have it, and you go to the shelf, and it's not even there an hour before. You're what the heck? Because
they can still change their mind. They might not even buy it.
They might not even buy it.
Yeah.
And so that's the frustrating thing. That's why we don't do it that way, is because there are at least 10 times more people that would put something in their cart and not buy it. So it would make it would exacerbate
Rachel said,
the
a lot of
problem.
them use the cart for a wait list. I do that on other websites.
For a
Sure.
long term, especially you want to save on shipping, and I totally get that. So checking out is what actually buys the item for you. But just putting in your cart, that's a great first step. But
necessary, one might say.
Other tips: making sure you're logged in, within the hour or so of the launch. You're I don't know. I had other tips. That's all I could think of.
Yes, I would say check the coming soon versus out of stock status. I know a lot of times we get people that think that we've already sold out of something when we haven't even launched it yet, especially if it gets delayed a day or two. They think it's coming. So if something says coming soon, we haven't actually launched it yet. We haven't gotten it in, so it's still coming. And you can reach out to our team to get more information if we don't already have it on the product page.
Yeah, we're pretty meticulous about keeping those up to date. So once it's actually been in stock and sells out, that's different than it hasn't even been launched yet.
Yeah, and if you do happen to miss something and you want to get it again, because sometimes we'll get a little bit of stock and then we'll get a little bit more and a little bit more, sign back up for the email notification because it doesn't automatically sign you back up.
Once you get an email sent to you, you're off the list.
Yep, and then regarding pre-orders, I had just a couple of notes here.
Yeah.
We often get shorted, so it's easy for us to overcommit on something like a pre-order situation. But this has happened before. We've had extreme delays. For us, there's certain rules in place about when we can refund a credit card. There's a 90-day limit.
Right.
We've had so many product launches that have been delayed more than 90 days. So if we took a pre-order...
We had one that was 15 months.
Yeah.
Or the Procyon, we're still waiting on the Deep Sea.
So if
The
we took...
Passaporto.
It
Yeah, that's
happens.
what I was thinking
It
of.
happens so many times that like if we did that, it would be a nightmare. We wouldn't even be able to technically refund.
Yeah, no, we literally cannot do it. If it's past 90 days, we cannot refund your
Or
credit card.
or if you only authorize but don't charge, the authorization expires. Then you got to reach back out again.
And then if you think about if you pre-order one item but you want to have 17 other items with it, what do we
Well-
hold all those 17 items? We would have to have a whole like layaway
yeah,
section.
logistically,
in our
we're
warehouse.
not
So
we're
it's-
not set up.
No,
for
it's
it.
crazy.
There's so much more behind the scenes that makes it more complicated.
It really comes down to fundamentally, we don't want to take your money and not be able to deliver you the product. So
And honestly, we're-
that's like the part of the be honest. One of our core values is like what we say is on the site.
And we also
to the best of our abilities.
we don't want to
It's
do
true.
anything unless we know a way to do it well.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
Sure.
So
let's talk about, we've covered most of the logistics. What are a couple of limited edition like things to kind of keep our eye on? Things that we like anticipate we might
Oh,
run into.
sure. I'd say every time Twisby comes out with a new color, these things are always hot. We sold out abroad same day. Sometimes we were fortunate enough we got a decent sized shipment. Sometimes these things are gone in an hour.
Yeah.
Lamy special editions sometimes
Yeah.
They've
can
been
be
getting
limited.
better, though.
They
They've been
have
getting
been
better.
better,
Mhm.
but
still, if you want a particular nib size, get in early so you can at least get that one. Like if you wanted
Right.
a broad Twisby yesterday, it was in your best interest to get in early.
I'm sorry.
Retro 51 poppers are always a good
Yes.
example as far as limited edition stock availability.
And those
Sometimes
are,
they'll hang out, but then sometimes again they'll be gone within minutes.
Well, it's like Space Race. That was gone in minutes.
Yeah.
The sets especially.
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. And then we have the Lamy crystal inks.
Yeah, we are getting, so we ordered a lot. Our wait list is
A lot.
strong, and, Brian, is a right mistake, had a little bit to do with that. We've talked about them here. We have great demand. It's wonderful. We put in a big order, and our first shipment is
Trickling.
pathetic. Is that a positive word? But no, it's not.
That sounds harsh,
It's very
but-
small, relative.
Inadequate.
Inadequate.
Due to demand.
Yes, and because they were shorted from Germany coming into the U.S., so it's going to be several weeks, and then we'll see another. So we're actually going to just do samples for the first launch because our logic is I'd rather please, 10 times as more people than just the few who would get a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this situation. We won't reveal numbers specifically for the Lamy crystal, but we've had times where we've gotten, 4 or 5, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 people on an email list for a single product, and we get 3.
We're like, what do we
or
do with
7.
that?
And it's like, what do we do? There's no way to win. All you're trying to do is minimize the number of people that get pissed off. That's about it. That's all you can do.
But we are thinking that way.
Yes.
So
We are
again,
trying to minimize
Yeah,
it.
right. We're trying to look
Trying
at
to
the
think, the greatest good,
Right.
and how can, and it kills
needs
us
of the
that
many.
even if we get like 10 people waiting for something and we get 9, we're like, oh, that one person,
Yeah.
we think of all of you.
Right.
Well, we're trying. We're always open to feedback, so leave us some comments if there's something that you've seen other retailers do that's worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if there's something that we've done that you're like, hey, this is the trickle effect of the decisions you've made and how it's affected
And
my
we talked
experience.
We talked about the signing up for the email waitlist on the product page. So if you go to the product page, you'll see that there.
Yeah.
But also sign up for our email newsletter because that's the best way to stay
True.
in the loop about what's upcoming. And if we have like a launch date, you'll make sure to be informed that way too.
And also follow us on social because sometimes we
We do post on social too.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending if we get really shorted on stock, we may not blast it out in a newsletter, but we might just put it on Instagram, or we might just put it a couple places.
Follow
we'll
us
pull,
everywhere.
We'll pull like smaller levers to not blast it out to everybody if there's shortage
But this
of stock.
one, as of this morning, is still in stock, except in broad. We don't know yet if we're getting a second shipment. And Chinese New Year is kind of throwing off manufacturing there too, so we'll
Indeed.
see.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy with mine so far.
Even though it's not made in China, we should throw that out there.
No, it
It affects that whole region. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so be sure to comment. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks so much for watching, and right on.